Live from Twin Ring Motegi, we welcome race fans one and all to more Monday night action for the SimSeeds RealSimRacing Cup Series and the 2021 All-Star Race. Hello and good evening, everybody. Bound to be an incredibly exciting night of action. Nola Rempo coming at you in the broadcast booth. Evan Masoko experiencing some minor technical difficulties, so hopefully be back with us here shortly. Dylan Coyle, our in-race reporter, as always, with Hugo Luis down behind the cameras for today's presentation. It is bound to be a very exciting night as we go racing at this 1.49 mile circuit over in Japan for what will be a grand total of 75 laps of racing action here tonight. Kind of looking at the schedule here coming into today's race. We're of course at that halfway point so far in the series. We've got ourselves the All-Star Open and the All-Star Race, the Twin Ring Motegi, before moving on over to a brand new Nashville Super Speedway for round number 13, which is bound to be an incredibly exciting race in of itself. Of course, brand new facility to not just the iRacing service, but also to the series. Not a lot of drivers have a lot of time to prepare for that one. Then, of course, Road America, Atlanta Motor Speedway, New Hampshire Motor Speedway, Watkins Glen International, Michigan, and Daytona round out the regular season before heading on over into a four-round playoff season starting in September. So with all these things in mind, we are right at the cusp of halfway, closing up on it now. Looking at the format for tonight's race, drivers that have won a race so far this season and previous RealSimRacing drivers are already locked in to the into the All-Star race tonight. The other drivers that have not won a race so far are going to be racing it out in a 25-lap sprint race for the All-Star Open with 3 green-white checkers apiece. The top 10 from that 25-lap race will qualify to move on over into the All-Star Open. Qualifying is set to be a 5-minute open qualifying session. So not the traditional 5-minute 2-lap close session that we expect to see. And in fact, cars already getting on track down there and ready to rumble here for tonight's All-Star Open for moving into the 50-lap All-Star race here tonight. Caution laps will not count for the course of the race. So if we have a yellow flag come out, it will not count against the number of laps. Always a thing we want to see. Means that we get more and more action that we can race with throughout the course of the night. Gonna turn things on down to the in-race reporter, Dylan Coyle. If you're not too busy down there, Dylan, it's a very new track. Of course, we are using the brand new next-gen cars of the iRacing service. So not only do we have the next-gen cars out today, we're also on a track that is not typically seen on a stock car schedule. So what are your thoughts coming into this race? And you've been down at the track. What do you think we can look out for tonight?
Well, you know, it's a very interesting egg-shaped track. It's a track that in the 1990s, I believe, NASCAR came over to use as an exhibition circuit when they decided they wanted to have some races in Japan. So the really unique thing is just how large and how wide this track is, especially in turns 1 and 2. Once we get to 3 and 4, that's when you're going to have to mash the brakes and try to get as low to the apron as possible and then accelerate quickly, have the tires squealing a little bit behind you, and then get ready for another flying lap.
It's going to be an interesting one as well. Of course, the last time Dylan and I were together at this was for a Classic IndyCar Series race just about a month ago here at this very facility. Of course, very different beasts we got here tonight. So bound to be a very entertaining race in these brand new next-gen stock cars. A lot of different things about these cars. For one thing, single lug nuts compared to the 5 lug nuts that the cars are used to seeing. Also, the fact that aerodynamic package completely changed, especially with a new rear diffuser to keep the car firmer plunged to the ground and keep cars closer. All of these things are bound to make this a very interesting race here tonight. Take a ride on board with Ross Cato, currently sitting 3rd place, 0.045 off of the current race qualifying leader of San Nieto. Now, this is, of course, group qualifying. It's a very unusual thing to see here in stock car racing. We're used to seeing 5-minute 2-lap sessions, 10-minute 2-lap sessions when it comes to road course racing. So this open qualifying is not something we're used to seeing. You'll have to get driver's thoughts on that a little bit more over the course of the night. So San Nieto currently out there on provisional pole, and the top 4 separated by less than a 10th of a second. So far, the entire field separated by 3/4 of a second from the drivers that have set times. There are scheduled 15 drivers set to start the race here in just under 2 minutes time. 2 drivers have not set lap times, those drivers being Dominic Howe and Sean Casto. Sean Casto, of course, a previous race winner, locked in. He will not be eligible to get the to get himself locked in through the qualifying. He will not be permitted to race in this one. So a total of 14 drivers getting set to rumble away to race here tonight. Looking over at the drivers that are locked in to qualifying, you got Andrew Freenosh, a very obvious choice. 38 wins for the winningest driver in RSR history. Daniel Eberhardt is in second with Dylan Jones in third. David Washington, Thomas George, Brandon Bowie, Rhett McBride, Michael Araya, Kyle Trudell, Matt Danson, Kyle Kamer, Joseph Tice, Eric Stanford, Sean Casto, Nick Silver, Agnell Phillip, Brian Chambliss, Jeremy Miller, and Grant Davis round out the 19 drivers that are already pre-logged in and are not permitted to race in the 25 All-Star Open before tonight's 50 laps of action. So, qualifying just about to come to a close here. 25 seconds left on the clock as we continue to run things down. Looking at Liam Sheen out there on the track, currently sitting second place. So, very, very good start there for the number 1 car. Just 36 thousandths of a second off of Sam Mieto's time. So he is definitely on a flyer there right now. Coming to just 5 seconds remaining in this one. And Evan Basoko finally joins me in the booth. And just in time, Evan, why don't you take us away for our starting grid here in today's race?
Well, I hope that that's the last of the technical gremlins for the evening, Nolan. I appreciate you walking us through the format for tonight's SimSeats All-Star Race. But as mentioned, it all starts with this open, and these drivers are going to have 30 seconds left to close this one out. So they're going to be allowed with this format to finish out this lap. Although I don't see anybody top of Nieto or Sheen. Those are two very good laps at the top of the board.
Two very good laps. The only couple of drivers out there are definitely further down the field, and all of them are not going to be able to improve, especially for the likes of Tom Moreno, who hits the outside wall in turns 3 and 4 on his way down to pit road.
It just giving it a little bit too much that last time through, right? You book your lap in, and on the second half of it, I think it's just kind of send it and see if you can make it stick. Some drivers didn't, but it is fine because the open qualifying session has drawn to a close, and we are ready to go racing for the SimSeats All-Star Open. So let's go trackside and take a look at your SimSeats starting grid. Sam Nieto on pole position with a 35.759 will bring us to the green flag alongside the number 1 machine of Liam Sheen. Ross Cato, Chris Rabel side by side on row number 2, along with Nicholas Marr and Manatsu Major, your top 6.
William Schmidt, Cody Harris round out row number 4 with Dylan Coyle and Matthew Marr rounded out the top 10 for today's race. Dominic Howe and Steve Durham 11th and 12th with Michael Kuczynski and Tom Moreno to round out the last half of the field. A total of 14 drivers then getting set to rumble away for the All-Star Open.
And the magic number is 10. Of course, all prior RealSimRacing Cup Series winners are already locked in. That's not just from this year, that's all time are already locked in to this main event. So the top 10 drivers in this open, looking forward to joining them in tonight's feature race. Of course, should be an exciting show. It's a sprint race, though. 25 laps. You don't get a lot of time to be cute about this one. It's very difficult, I think, as well, Nolan, to strategize. That qualifying session going to loom large if some of these guys starting outside of the top 10 can't find their way into the show.
It's going to be a tough task for some of those drivers in the back as well, especially for the likes of Tom Moreno, who was already himself just so close to being able to make his way up into the top 10, but he himself is still a solid, quarter of a second a lap off the time of Matthew Marr, which is right at the cusp of that cutoff line. So these guys at the very back end of the field still have their work cut out for them. And the chance of them making it up and winning the All-Star Open, unfortunately, happened to be slim to none based on the pace that we were seeing from some of these guys up in front. But when you get to these 25-lap sprint races, the chaos can just be so unreal that you really don't know what's going to fully happen until that checker flag flies.
And some more rules that are a little bit different. Normally, we're used to drivers having an incident and their night being done. Not the case. There is one quick repair available for all of the drivers in this open, should there be an accident. They also have one additional set of tires down on pit road to them. Caution laps, if any, will not count against this race's 25-lap total. RaceSpot's own Dylan Coyle is in the field for this one. Coming to the green flag, Dylan. You're trying to race yourself into the SimSeats All-Star Race. You said you're a fan of Twin Ring. What's the key here?
It's about getting as wide as possible on the corner entries because they are so large. you need to take as big of a line to continue with that momentum, with that speed. If you are able to get the apex just down to the line in turns 1 and 2, you have to hold that speed all the way through the rest of the corner, all the way up. It's going to look like you're hitting the wall, but you just got to trust yourself that you're going to be okay, and then get that throttle down, go to turns 3 and 4, put on the brakes, and then just pray.
So the pace car pulls down the pit road. San Diego leads them to the green. We are racing for the All-Star Open for the Twin Green Motegi. So a good launch from the Edo, but a massive checkup on the bottom side for Nicholas Morrow. Got really sideways there on turn 2. One car spinning in the background. Steve Durham hard in the inside wall in the background of the number 10 machine. The first driver to be eliminated in All-Star action tonight. He is not going to be bringing out a caution, though, as that was all the way at the tail end of the field. So Nieto leads lap 1 of the All-Star Open, looking for 3 wide, though. Harris and Major around left and right of Chris Rabel. Down to the turn number 1 for the second time today. And the 29 car started to drop back in a hurry. He worked his way up from 4th, and he's already started that tumble outside of the top 5. William Schmidt trying to work his way in as well. And the number 49 car trying to see what he can make in his Toyota Cannon for the next gen cars. And he's going to slap back in line, just not able to get the speed they do need down to the turn number 3. Take a look at the replay here. Steve Durham out of the race early, so sideways off of turn 2. Kind of fishtailed the car around and just loses it halfway down the backstretch, locks the brakes up, but there's nothing you can do from slamming hard into that inside barrier. It's a concrete barrier as well, which means it is definitely not going to be nearly as friendly to you as the safer barriers that we're so used to seeing in North American oval racing, especially at the 1.5-mile tracks such as this one. The top 3 starting to break away. The battles are all happening for about 5th, 6th, and 7th place here, with Minazzi Major trying to go down the inside of Chris Rainbow. William Schmidt in the 49 trying to fight the outside group. Nicholas Mara in the 32 working the inside as well. Doing a great job in his Ford Mustang GT to work his way down the inside. You got Matthew Mara trying to look in the After Turns podcast machine just behind. So the two Mara brothers definitely doing very good work together to try to make sure that they can get them as far as possible and get themselves out of the bubble spot. 10th place on the bubble spot. Michael Kuczynski has dropped back and is still within clutches here of Dominic Howe and Dylan Coyle. So as these runs go on, we could potentially see, the field start to split just that little bit more. At the moment, these guys like the Maras and, of course, William Schmidt are slowing each other down by racing side by side like this. They just cannot get the momentum off of these corners, and it is allowing guys in Minazzi Major up in 6th place to start to pull away. Nicholas Mara is going to complete the pass on Schmidt down the inside. Can the 49 fight back at the crossover around the outside, maybe with some momentum run of draft down the back straightaway? Doesn't look like he'll be able to. McNamara looks for the bottom, but he just doesn't have the speed to make it. Schmidt, tried to think about the inside. Gets blocked, though, by Nicholas Mara down the inside. And we're watching all of this on board with Matthew Mara in his motion rig just behind all of this, watching the chaos starting to unfold. The top few drivers as well, specifically just those outside the podium, starting to close up as well. They're not side by side yet, but they're right nose to tail with each other, just like these guys are in the back here. So we take a look up to the battles here just inside the top 5. At the moment, Minazzi Major is the driver that caps off the top 6 train. Also in this train, you've got Chris Rabel, Cody Harris, Ross Cato, Liam Sheen with Sam Vieto, your pole sitter, leading the way down into turn number 3 and 4. A much tighter corner than 1 and 2 are, which always makes it such a much more significant challenge to try to work with. There you can see Harris looking for the inside on Ross Cato, trying to go for the podium positions here. Harris is going to try to lunge it down the inside, but just cannot quite get the momentum. Going to try to stamp the throttle in and maybe get the drive off the corner, but Ross Cato has the draft, starting to snake down the back straightaway as Liam Sheen tries to follow Nieto. Nieto attempts to break the draft, and that is going to allow Harris to pick up a little bit of draft from the inside, and you might be able to get clear your up forward if you can get a good drive off these corners, but I don't think you will. I haven't seen a lot of races with these next-gen cars, but from what I have seen, that outside line is definitely where you want to be if you want to try to defend off against the position. And Ross Cato proving that perfectly. Harris is going to throw it back down the inside for 1 and 2. He's not going to push it up. Ross Cato slots back in line right at the apex as we take a ride on board from the roll bar of Ross Cato. Down the back straightaway for the 8th time today out of the 25 laps in this sprint race. Can he try to find third? Not quite able to get there. All the side-by-side action has meant that the back portion of the field has started to close up as well. So at the moment, everybody is starting to really cluster up in this one big grouping here. Rabel's going to try to go down the inside of the 12 car again into turn number 1. The 29 clears. Cato will try to slot right back in line, and Minazzi Major not able to capitalize. But look at the run that Cato has around the outside line. Gets on the throttle and makes that one perfectly. Takes the spot back around the outside of turn 2 and a blast down the back straightaway. And here comes Minazzi Major now diving down the inside, and Chris Rabel into turn number 3 and 4 for the 9th time on the night. Rabel clears off of turn number 4. Here comes Nicholas Barr. It's all starting to kick off here at the tail end of the top 10. Barr throws his way down the inside of the 32 car. Trying to push around the into machine of Minazzi Major. These guys, of course, it's worth noting, they are all locked in from here. The only driver that really has to worry is Mike Kuczynski. But even he is very clear to Dominic Howe and Dylan Coyle some ways behind him at this point in time. So all these guys at the front, they are locked into the playoff, or not into the playoff race, excuse me, into the All-Star race proper if they can just maintain where they are and not take each other out, especially in these closing laps. 15 to go. Liam Sheen has reeled in Sam Nieto for the overall race lead. The gap just under 0.2 of a second now, starting to close. You can see Nieto working so hard in his number 88 to try to break the draft just behind, but he's just not able to get down there. The 2 car with the 88 on is going to be able to pull a small gap this time by off of 3 and 4. Pulls that gap into about 0.3 of a second. Look at all the cars staking up behind. Ross Cato stays down low as Chris Rabel tried to have a go around the outside line. Didn't quite work for the 29 crew. Just clips the apron. Now we've seen it at Indy cars. You are not able to clip that apron. It will send you spinning the outside wall. You can get away with a little bit of that though in these next gen stock cars with the amount of downforce that they have. Oh, really pinching the Cato in there as well. Down for turn 3. Shoving him up to the backstretch wall there, right on the outside. Rabel's going to power down on the bottom side, though, to try to maintain the 4th position. Up front, Cody Harris getting spicy in the battle for P2. Goes down the inside of Liam Sheen down the back, or down the front straightaway, despite Liam Sheen trying to defend behind. Sheen tries to really pitch the 6 car in. They make a bit of contact once, twice. Don't touch quite there yet, boys. Cody Harris is going to maintain the position. Fishtail to the slightly off of turn number 2. Sheen and Harris keep it clean, but already a close call on just the 13th lap of the race. We're almost halfway through this All-Star Open already, just a 25-lap race before we kick things off. Harris is able to power through on the bottom side, though, in the 6 car. Picks up 2nd place. Still not clear, though, from Liam Sheen, who's trying to power back on the outside line. And Liam Sheen has got all the run that he needs to be ahead for turn 1. But he's just not able to get the position fully secure. Harris has to back out to avoid pushing wide into the door of Liam Sheen and spinning him around. The momentum seems to shift in favor of Harris down the backstretch, but it all goes into the favor of Liam Sheen off of turn numbers 3 and 4. Ross Cato and Chris Rabel are still side by side behind these guys as well. Here goes Major, trying to throw his way up the middle, trying to make it 3 wide for positions now, trying to break inside the top 5. Just there, Cody Harris finally breaks clear. And that has all allowed San Diego to pull a gap of over a second ahead from these drivers in the back. With all the side-by-side battling here, you can tell that a caution is only a matter of time if these guys continue to race like this. Ross Cato under fire from Minazzi Major is going to try to pick up a spot. He will take away his 6th. Here comes Nicholas Barr, 3 wide for the 5th position, down the inside, and then turn number 3, contact up in front, look out for Sheen, sliding up the track, nearly gets into the wall, does get to the outside wall, Sheen hard into the outside wall, saves it though, the number 1 car is able to power through, maintains the positions, and falls back to 9th. It's all kicking off with the All-Star Open for the Twin River Tanya. Nicholas Mara trying to find the inside. Major trying to pick up third, but Rainbow clears down to the apex of 1 and 2. And finally, some rest to kind of let things settle out. There was the contact between Sheen and the 69 of Chris Rainbow, and that was a pretty significant hit to the outside wall. You can see all the damage on the right side of Liam Sheen's machine. Definitely going to be hurting them there. Dylan Coyle, meanwhile, has made the pass up into the final position that he would need in the midst of all of that chaos. I believe that might have been back on lap number 15 when that happened. So Dylan Coyle now up into the final transfer position up into the All-Star race.
Turn 1 is my friend.
It appears so.
Yeah, just 2, not dives, but gutsy, bold moves, I think. Not dives, though.
Up front, Nicholas Mara trying to do battle with Chris Rabel, trying to fight for the 4th position out there on course. And Rainbow clears around the outside line. Doesn't matter how much of a run Mara would have gone off the corner. It's completely negated by how much speed Rainbow had thanks to the air bubble that these cars can generate. The battle started to pick up for these final spots in the transfer positions as well, up towards the back of the field. Dylan Coyle under fire for the final spot by Michael Kuczynski, trying to go down the inside of the turn 3. These are actually very crucial spots. All the battles we've seen up front, they are already locked in the positions they're at. Coyle, meanwhile, is not, and neither is Kuczynski. Kuczynski now trying to go down the inside of 79 car. Oh, little bit of a loose moment though for the 30 car off of the corner. Coming at 6 laps to go here. 7 laps to go, pardon me. Got Liam Sheen and McNamara just up the road as well, and these guys are all trying to battle in the midst of all of this. Liam Sheen still with that front right damage on his machine for tagging the outside wall several laps to go in turn number 3. Liam Sheen is going to try to get around McNamara, trying to make himself further safe. Coyle is going to push right up to the back end of Matthew Martin. Not quite close with the bump trap down to the turn number 3. Here goes Kuczynski trying to make it 3 wide for the final transfer spot. Coyle breaks clear up in a 9. There's Kuczynski up in a 10th. Matthew Mora trying to fight him off for 10th place now around the outside. He is going to be able to fend off Kuczynski for now, but third car's not done yet. Dylan Coyle with a big attempt there to try to get around Liam Sheen. Sheen not having any of it though, with a major block down the front straightaway. Coyle trying to fight back. Here comes Mara though with the run, looking for the outside line. Gets cut off by Liam Sheen. Will he make it 3 wide? Coming to 5 to go. This time by Mark Mara decides to keep it in line. Oh, more contact. Sheen gets muscled up out of the groove. The number 1 car is still able to hold firm. Kuczynski not done yet. He's going to try to battle back. Look at this. Blocking 3 wide. Almost down to the pit wall down the front straightaway for the All-Star Open. 5 to go. And we're not even in the main All-Star race. So what's the race going to be like when we get to the All-Star race proper? Liam Sheen is under some serious fire here. Got from 2nd place down to 11th. Gets loose on the apron. That might have just killed any momentum she would have had throughout the rest of this All-Star race. Michael Kuczynski is able to fend him off. Matthew Mara in the 23 car. We're taking a look at his cockpit camera down there on the bottom right of your screen, trying to fend off Michael Kuczynski. This is the battle for 10th at the moment. Battling for the bubble position. Dylan Coyle has been allowed to get well clear as a result of all of this. I think Dylan can breathe a little bit easier now.
Woo! Yeah. That was some intense racing.
So Matthew Mara trying to push up and take over Michael Kuczynski's position for 9th place. With all of that said and done, let's take a look up here to these battles that are still raged on after all of this is said and done as well. This is now battle for 2nd place. Nazi Major slowly working his way out through the field. Coming to 3 laps to go here as well. So Major the 82 car clears for 2nd place. Cody Harris still in the base of things, up 5 positions for where he started today, down in 3rd. Nicholas Mara in 4th, and Chris Rabel in 5th. Kato Schmidt have both dropped back a little bit from this field, so it's a 4-car fight for the 2nd position here. And I think finally we're going to be able to get a little bit more breathing room here up in the front. The threat for a caution is potentially gone further in the back, but maybe not so much up in here. Just 3 miles left to go here. 2 laps in the All-Star Open. Nazi Major going to go down to cover the inside. Breaking the draft. It's not going to do much, though. Harris still is right in line with him. turn one for the penultimate time in the All-Star Open.
I think we have to remember that winning the All-Star Open, other than pride, means nothing. We're going to all be put back into the All-Star race, inverted points-wise.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So these guys, if anything, they're probably hurting themselves here. It would really depend, though. But these guys at this point, they're just putting on a show for us, and what a show they were putting on indeed. White flag is out. San Diego takes the final lap. We will be ending this one caution-free for the All-Star Open. -1 spin in the back that saw Steve Durham and his All-Star chances eliminated very early on in this race. Harris and Munati Major do battle for second place. Down the back straight for the final time of the All-Star Open. Major nearly hits the outside wall. Harris is going to try to throw it down the inside. Here comes Nicholas Mara trying to make it 3 wide. Not nearly close enough, though, to go for the look. Cody Harris is going to try to fend off, but not to Major around the outside line. Off of turn number 4, San Diego wins the All-Star Open at the Twin Ring Motegi. Harris picks up second, Major third. Nicholas Mara drops all the way back to finish 5th place at the end of it all. Other drivers that are going to be moving up: Ross Cato, William Schmidt, Dylan Coyle, Nicholas Mara, Matthew Mara, and Michael Kuczynski. Liam Sheen, tough break for the number 1 car. He was set to have a very, very good run today. Started second place, finished in 11th as a result of all the content that was being made. So let's go over and take a look now at the All-Star race, All-Star Open results from the Twin Motegi in the first 25 of a total of 75 laps of action. As well, there was an attempt there from San Diego at a burnout. It tore off right side of his car instead, though. I mean, I've never seen somebody start a burnout quite like that. Talk about a high-speed entry. He is going to burn it down, though, on the front straightaway. So as he tears the car further by now slamming the inside wall, let's take a look now at the SimSeats post-race results. San Diego is going to take victory with Cody Harris in second. Munati Major rounds out the podium. Chris Rabel, Nicholas Mara, Ross Cato, William Schmidt, Dylan Coyle, Matthew Mara, and Michael Kuczynski not only round out the top 10, but are also going to round out the rest of the All-Star field. The remaining 4 drivers in this race of Liam Sheen, Dominic Howe, Tom Moreno, and Steve Durham, unfortunately having some very not going to be able to make it through, especially Steve Durham, who was crashed out on lap number 1 by a mistake of his own devices. So an absolutely thrilling event there for the All-Star Open, and it still is going to increase as well. We, of course, have got the 50-lap All-Star race that's coming up proper, which is going to be seen. It looks to be about a 29 car field. Definitely a much bigger one than what we're seeing today. So to reiterate now, the drivers that are going to be in for the All-Star race are going to be Andrew Freenosh, Daniel Everhart, Dylan Jones, David Washington, Thomas George, Brandon Bowie, Rhett McBride, Michael Laraya, Kyle Trudell, Matt Danson, Kyle Kamer, Joseph Tice, Eric Stanford, Sean Castill, Nick Silver, Agnew Phillip, Brian Chambliss, Jeremy Miller, Grant Davis, and then for the guys of the All-Star Open, Nieto, Harris, Major, Rabel, both Maras, Cato, Schmidt, Coyle, and Kuczynski. While we're waiting for some of the drivers to come on up and give us a bit of a chat here, may as well give a shout out to the guys that help to keep the lights on here at the Real Sim Racing League, and that is going to be the title sponsor, SimSeats. And since 2009, SimSeats have been designing and fabricating high-quality, made-in-USA driver simulators, including motion systems and turnkey iRacing packages with custom fabrication. Their customer base includes all races from amateur to the pro ranks, and everybody on the SimSeats team is a weekend racer too. Their passion for racing drives them to build better sim racing equipment, so join SimSeats for the thrill of racing at any time, and any car, and on any track by visiting simseats.com to learn more. So SimSeats, the official title sponsor of the Real Sim Racing Cup Series. Might as well shout out the After the Turns podcast as well while we're at it here. It's headed up by Nick Mara, Matt Mara, and Matt Danson, with special guests every Tuesday night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is the official podcast of Real Sim Racing. It is available anytime at afterthelaps.com or wherever you happen to get your podcasts from. This next spot coming up here is going to be our very own Evan Pasoko. Going to be making an appearance this coming Tuesday. So if you want to tune in, join Matt Mara, Nick Mara, and Matt Danson for the After the Turns podcast, the official podcast of the Real Sim Racing League, Tuesday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do have the race winners with us here from the All-Star Open. So let's bring up Sam Vieta to kick it off first. Sam, what a race for you. Started pole, you ended up coming home with a race win today. So Let's start from the very beginning. Open qualifying, very unusual sight to see. How was your reaction for the open qualifying? Because it was certainly quite the sight to watch as everybody was trying to do battle for those precious positions.
Yeah, it caught me off guard at first, and then whenever I realized there was a car in front of me in pit road, I was like, I got to get out of pit road. I got to get on track first. So I was able to get out and lay down a good lap, and Liam was right there, P2, and then we both pit, or I said I was pitting, and then I come out, and he's right behind me. I was like, no. I'm not going to let you draft off of me to beat me for the pole.
So we look forward to the All-Star Open, and it was looking to be a pretty good fight there. Harris was right up with you, but of course, when the other guys like Harris, Major, and Rainbow began to do battle really hard with each other further in the back, you were able to just pull away, and at the end, pull out a 3.3 second gap to win the All-Star Open. So what was your thoughts when you watched everybody else battle behind you? Because no doubt, that's the one thing you wanted to see to secure your position.
Yeah, I was watching Liam catching me in three every lap, the first 5 or 10 laps, and I was getting a little worried. I had Lariah in my ear telling me, just be patient, and then I guess the guys behind are at such a disadvantage because the aero push is really bad here, and I think they just had to drive too hard to try to keep up, and then whenever they got to doing battle, I just set sail.
So we look now to the All-Star race proper. Another 50 laps of action ahead, and no doubt it's not going to be as much of a walk in the park as this All-Star Open ended up being for you. Of course, caution laps not counting, and it's a much bigger field size as well. Going to be almost triple in size, as a matter of fact, with a total of, I'm estimating, 39 drivers or so being able to lock themselves, 29 drivers being able to lock themselves in. So what's your thoughts coming up for the race? Because it's going to be a tough one for you to make your way up and win that one as well.
I'm just going to do the same thing I did. Hopefully I can get to the front and stay in front, but I think there's a very good chance of, whoever is in front on the last restart is going to win the race.
And thank you, Sam, for coming over and taking the time to join us for the All-Star Open. Congratulations on winning the All-Star Open. Not out of the woods yet. Hopefully we'll be talking to you later on in tonight's race. Before I let you go here, anybody that'd like to shout out for your Flat Out Motorsports #2 outfit?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Michael for being in my ear and talking me through that race. And, I just picked a random paint off of trading paint, so I don't have anything. Whoever painted that car, thank you. Thank you guys for putting on this spectacular race. I was not going to run this race. I thought this was just going to be a draft fest. And then last night I decided to take a look at the track, and I was like, man, this track looks interesting. So here I am. I'm glad I did it.
So once again, thank you, Sam, for taking the time to come out and join us tonight. Best of luck in the All-Star race. Hopefully we'll talking to you later on tonight.
Thank you.
That was your All-Star Open winner, Sam Vieto. Going to continue down the podium here. We're going to bring up the runner-up in the All-Star Open. Cody Harris joins us in the booth. Wow, Cody, what a race for you. You started in 8th place. You're looking to be right on the bubble, but you ended up making up the most spots of anybody this race. Total of 6. Biggest mover on the All-Star Open. You're looking to repeat the same for the All-Star race?
Yeah, hopefully. I learned a lot with how the draft was more important here than I thought it would be with the size of track. But I'm looking forward to racing in the next race. I think the opening laps are pretty important too, because that's where I made up, I think, 3 or 4 right on the first 2 laps. So
you were trying desperately to fend off Unatsu Major behind. You were doing a very valiant job of doing that as well, but it certainly was not easy for you. You were under fire almost every single lap right through until the checkered flag, and it was noticeable as well how guys were kind of split up at the opening runs in this race, but as the tires wore in more, that's when the cars actually started to close in a little bit more. We saw things getting a lot more aggressive. What do you think contributed to that, and what do you think that could mean for us in the next 50 laps of action in just a few moments here?
For me personally, it was just, I had just bought the car right before the race. So just getting more comfortable with how the car drives in a race setting, because it's pretty different than the car that we're all used to. So I'm guessing everybody just got more comfortable with what the car could do going into the corner and how it would react.
So we'll look forward now to the All-Star race. It is no doubt going to be an uphill climb for a lot of the guys here that were in this All-Star Open and not locked in like some of the guys in the that have won races are, the 19 drivers that have done so. So what do you think the plan is going to be for you when we get around to the actual All-Star race here, which should be going up here in just a few minutes?
Just be patient, take my time. I actually think running this race before will give me a little bit of an advantage, just knowing how the car behaves in the traffic and learning the track a little bit more. But I guess we'll see once the race happens.
There's only one way to see. So no doubt it is going to be a very interesting run for yourself. You are the most spots gained in the All-Star Open. Hopefully you can repeat the same in the All-Star race. Maybe come home, pick up a high finishing position in there. Before I let you go here, Cody, anybody would like to shout out for us here tonight?
Yeah, I'd just like to say thanks to you guys for putting on the series and these events, and to my friends and family that are watching me do this each week.
Thank you, Cody, for taking the time to join us here tonight for the All-Star Open. Hopefully we'll get to chat with you some more in the All-Star race. Best of luck.
Thank you.
One more driver on the podium that we need to talk with. That, of course, was Cody Harris, P2 in the All-Star Open. We're going to bring up now Munatsi Major in his Flying Arrows number 82, bringing it home on the podium, but only just. Munatsi, wow, that was an incredible drive from you. You ended up being outside of the top 10 at some points of the race, and it was looking at the early runs, you might be in trouble, but you showed me wrong. Ended up pushing up and finishing third on the podium. So no doubt, a very successful All-Star Open for you.
Yeah, it was a really interesting race. The draft ended up playing a much bigger role than I thought it was going to, and that kind of worked in my favor because I really like super speedways. But yeah, definitely didn't expect to finish this high, to be honest with you. It was my first time at the track, and I thought I might have been in trouble there with the bubble, but we ended up working out, and hopefully the momentum will transfer into the All-Star race.
What we were seeing as well, being a very big factor in this All-Star Open, was not just the draft down the straightaways that no doubt helped you to reel in the guys in the top spots that they were doing side by side. Side drafting also was a very big factor, especially down the front straightaway off of turn number 4. It's something that we're not really used to seeing in the stock cars. The effect is so much more pronounced in these next-gen Cup cars. How do you think that could affect the upcoming 50 laps ahead of us?
I think it's going to play a huge role, especially with people doing the IndyCar, kind of weaving down to the inside and back up to the wall on the front stretch. I think people with runs are going to get side by side, and everyone's going to be trying to side draft off each other. And the All-Star race, there's no points, so it's just the person that wins and everyone else loses. So everyone's going to be more aggressive, and I think you're going to see a lot of side drafting in the main event.
It certainly would not surprise us. That's what we were seeing throughout the course of the day, and it's it's actually what allowed you to work your way up and finish third on the podium as well. So what's going to be the plan then coming into the All-Star race? Because obviously you said the draft played in a very big role for you here today. No doubt it's going to play in a very big role to how the actual All-Star race itself plays out as well.
So for the plan, I know the starting lineup is the invert of the points, so I think I'll have a pretty good starting spot. And then based off of that, I guess I have to be in defensive mode and just try to maintain position. I think track position is really important. Even with the draft, it's still really important to be close to the front. So hopefully I can maintain it throughout the race and then be there at the end.
And here's to hoping. So as we are about to let you go here, then Munatsi, anybody like to shout out for that Flying Arrows number 82?
Yes, so for sure, Flying Arrows, my team. I got to thank them. I thank you guys for everything that you guys do. Sim Seats for sponsoring. I'd like to thank iRacing for existing. And yeah, that's about it.
And thank you, Munatsi, for taking the time to join us here tonight. Best of luck in the All-Star race in just a few minutes' time.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So that will do it then for the podium for the All-Star Open. Dylan, I'm going to pass it back to you here. I mean, we haven't talked to you a whole lot throughout the course of, well, actually the last couple weeks, as a matter of fact. You had those very unfortunate moments at Sonoma last week, but you come here to the All-Star race. A lot of momentum for you. You were looking to be in trouble as well down there at the start of this race. Like I said, the last time you and I were here together was for an IndyCar race. Very different sight, though, here in this one.
What? Guys, I just found out apparently I'm the pole on the pole.
Oh boy. Well, I'm going to brace for an early race caution in that case.
Oh my goodness. Jeremy Miller just said in our Discord, who's on pole? Dylan, LOL. And then Evan says yes. Oh no.
Well, we were talking about how it was, well, remember as well, the starting grid for the All-Star is an invert of the points. You're 41st in points. So while that doesn't say a whole lot for your season as a whole in the RealSimRacing series,
I have missed 4 races.
A great starting position in the All-Star race.
Yeah, I have missed 4 races. This doesn't feel like I don't feel safe anymore.
David Washington has missed 4 races as well, Dylan. He's in 21st. That's 20 spots higher than you.
Okay, listen. Okay, listen. Listen. I am broadcaster first, driver second. Oh man, this feels like it's rubbing it in that I'm the lowest of the points people that are in. Wow.
It's going to be an interesting race for sure. I mean, we got the inverted point stands. That's going to put Andrew Friedosh, who we know is an aggressive driver, at the very back of the field. I mean, that's a guy, he's the only multi-winner so far on the series. He's got 4 wins so far tonight. Sorry, he's the first multi-winner point series. The only driver's been Matt Danson, but Friedosh has doubled the wins that Danson has on just this series alone. So he's going to be a driver that no doubt you're going to be seeing in a rear view mirror really, really quickly.
Yeah. Oh boy. I prefer to be the one chasing, not the one that's chased. I'm so flustered right now.
Oh dear. So it's going to be another 50 laps of action here. The All-Star race session should be going up here momentarily, so we'll get things cycled on over. No doubt bound to be a very exciting race tonight. Dylan, what's going to be your plan coming into the next race, or well, into the next 50 laps of action here?
I'm going to absolutely well, I was going to say send it down the inside, but I don't. Oh boy, I don't know. Just see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Only one way to find out. So we are currently setting things up for the All-Star race. Let's take a look at over the qualifying area. We just saw the All-Star Open, a 25-lap sprint race where the top 10 have qualified their way in. We are now up for the 50-lap All-Star race. Caution laps do not count. There is no qualifying for this one. The grid is going to be set by an inverted system of the points that have been set so far this season. That is in the regular season as well. The 19 drivers that have won so far, the 19 different RealSimRacing Active Cup Series winners at least, they're going to be the ones that are going to be locking themselves in. We've got the top 10 as well for the All-Star Open, so that is going to be 29 total drivers getting set to rumble away for 50 laps of action. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a very, very tight race. We saw just how intense the All-Star Open got, especially at the tail end of the race. I mean, Liam Sheen, I feel bad for Liam Sheen, to be completely honest with you. I mean, he was looking good. He was running a second, qualified second. He was running up in the top 5 all day long, but the little piece of contact gave him all the damage he needed to send him back to 11th place. It's not a good sight to see, and you can't help but feel bad for him, Evan.
Yeah, it's a tricky situation, and it'll be fun to see how this All-Star race plays out, right, with the invert. So, of the amount of drivers that are eligible, right, all RSR race winners are eligible. Not expecting them all to be competing, but this race could see a maximum of 29 cars. You're going to see probably something towards the middle of that, right? So, in theory, Dylan Jones, if he races, would be the pole sitter because he is the lowest in points with a race win in his career, right? But I don't think Dylan's going to be competing tonight, so it is our other Dylan who therefore gets to step up, move up a lane, and I believe take over the pole position. But I was honestly really impressed looking back to that Open. It had a little bit of craziness, but I was impressed with the racing. You know, this was a driver vote to select this venue. His drivers are in the warm-up session for this feature race. This was a driver vote, so they had multiple options. They had Twin Ring, they had Rockingham as an option, Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, and the Chicago Street Course. There was actually a tie in the initial vote between Rockingham and Twin Ring won out in the tie-break vote by one single vote. So it was a tight thing. Dylan, you're going to be up front. In theory, you've got a real good chance to win this thing. The race winner of this SimSeats All-Star race walks away with a SimSeats swag pack. If you've been following SimSeats on social media, they just launched a bunch of merchandise. So the race winner of this race is going to get a nice care package from our friends at SimSeats. Do you think you got a benefit of having raced in that Open now that you've actually got some race track time underneath you, or is it going to get messy?
I definitely feel like it was more of a benefit than anything else. The dirty air is ridiculous here. I didn't think it would be that bad, but there's so much aero push, especially in turns 1 and 2. I mean, if you're watching me on screen right now, you just saw Sean Casto just went all the way up high right behind me. It's just so hard to follow through the turns.
But of course, one special part about this event as well is I want to say a big thanks to our friends at the Makoni Setup Shop as well. There is, of course, no iRacing default fix setup for the next-gen Cup cars here at Twin Ring Motegi in Japan. So our friends at Makoni Setup Shop helped us out with building these setups. They help us out for things like the iRock series and some of the other stuff we do here at RSR. So big thanks to them for helping us put this event on. And I think it's just fun to do things different, right? Last year, the All-Star race was at North Wilkesboro. It coincided basically just a couple of weeks after that track debuted. Nolan, I know we announced earlier today that next year, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but next year's RSR Cup Series All-Star race will actually have the COTs in use. So just all those little things. The COTs are coming back. High horsepower, low downforce for next year. So always doing what we can to make this SimSeats All-Star race fun. And that goes back to what Dylan mentioned late in that open, right? At the end of the day, it's for bragging rights. It's for fun. And, you know, I think a lot of people, their gripe with the NASCAR All-Star race over the weekend was there was too many stages and too much math involved, right? Ours is pretty easy. If you're in the open, you make it in, top 10 advance. And then this running order is a complete invert of the points. Because if you put some of those fast guys up front, they might just check out, right? Those are guys that are good at adapting to racetracks, but I think when you invert the drivers based on points, you put them all on a racetrack that they probably never driven a next-gen car on, probably even a stock car that much on the sim, Nolan. I think it's a really fun format that we came up with. I appreciate all the drivers participated in the poll to select this, and the clock is winding down in warm-up. We're about 15 minutes away from going racing.
I'm honestly surprised that the Twin Motegi, in particular this oval layout, doesn't make more appearances in series as a whole, whether it be stock car, IndyCar, or whatever. It is a great track to race at. We saw the Indy All-Star Open. You can have very, very good racing here. I mean, it really is a hidden gem on the iRacing service that I think is honestly very underrated. I wish that it was used more frequently, and I am so glad that we decided to come here for the All-Star race. It's definitely one of the perfect venues you can have for it. It's an exhibition race for an on-points race. You can't get much better than that.
I 100% agree, and the rule of thumb is always going to be if we're doing a special event like this for an all-star race, we're going to do it at a racetrack that's not on the Cup schedule, right? We're not going to go to a place that's already on the calendar. So it'll be fun once we get to next year to have the COTs in action, what tracks we can come up with. You know, at that point, there's going to be racetracks that we're used to seeing on the calendar that won't be. So you could even have a place like an Ottawa or an Iowa or an Auto Club or, you know, some of those other tracks that have been staples on a Cup calendar for the last couple of years not be there anymore and therefore be all-star race eligible. But I'm just looking through the field, mentioned that a maximum of 29 drivers could be eligible to compete in this. I think that number is going to be close to a high teen number. So this field may actually be dominated, Dylan, by those open drivers. Now, it's a little bit different, right? We go from a 25-lap sprint to a 50-lap sprint. It's still a short race, but it's a lot longer than what you guys had. Do you think that you need to approach this race any differently? In that race, you guys had one additional set of tires if needed. In this one, you have two. So if there's yellows, that could add a little bit of extra strategy to it. Of course, there's still green, white checkers, and in fact, there is still one quick repair. So all those little things that make you, I think, have to approach this differently than you would a normal Monday night race.
It's really hard to pass, though. So with how difficult it is to make passes work here, I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of worn tires and track position being king.
Just letting this warm-up session run out so we can see if anybody else eligible to compete in this race are going to jump on track, and we will send them racing. Right now, the magic number 18 drivers. Nolan, of course, you were up in the broadcast booth through that All-Star Open. Dylan doesn't seem to have that much confidence in himself. Just kind of looking at the field here and who you saw maybe try to work through the field in that Open. What are you looking forward to in this main event?
I'm looking forward to see how they're going to be racing with the podium positions. They were really, really aggressive, especially in the closing stages for those podium positions. I think part of the aggression, though, came from drivers trying to really throw it down the inside, because it's like Dylan said as well, it's very hard to pass here. And it's not like the cars are hard to drive, it's the side draft that really gets you. I mean, heck, we saw one driver was cleared all the way up to just about the bumper. The guy behind him still managed to get the side draft just perfect so that he could get him with the run and had fully cleared them before they were even halfway down the back straightaway. That's how difficult it can be to really secure a pass, especially around the inside here. That could play into a very, very big factor with how this plays out tonight, as the bottom becomes a place that you wouldn't necessarily want to be if you want to complete a pass.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you talk about, the aerodynamics and try to make a pass. Not only is it a new track, which drivers aren't used to, and it clocks at 1.49 miles. Some people call it a backwards Darlington. Of course, the banking's quite a bit different, but to your point that you made a couple of minutes ago, I love this track, and I think it should get used a lot more often on the oval side of things, and even the road layout here as well is a good circuit, but it's those new cars as well. We've heard feedback. Obviously, the idea is that these next-gen cars on the sim are going to change over time, right? By the time we get to the spring of next year and they're used full-time in NASCAR Cup Series competition, iRacing is going to have a lot more data to tweak some of the physics on the car. So that's going to be a learning process as well. But just all those elements combined, I think, leaves this race wide open. And why not walk away with some SimSeat swag in this all-star race? It could get, I think, with a little bit of a lower car count, with 18 cars of the 29 that are eligible, it's going to give these drivers space. I'll be honest, guys, I thought there was going to be a lot more wadded up race cars in that open than what we actually saw. So that gives me faith that we can actually see some good green flag runs here in this All-Star.
It very much could give us, some of the longer runs as well. I mean, heck, I was even surprised that we didn't see a caution in the All-Star Open. I mean, we had that one spin with Steve Durham down to the inside line on lap number 1, but that's at the tail end of the field. Wasn't really an issue, as, well, there goes one car finding what happens when you hit the pin attenuator at the Trevor Motegi. Not good things, I think, Mike Buczynski, safe to say.
Yeah, that's like an Indianapolis-style pit end right there, coming off of turn number 4. Of course, a racetrack that used to be on the IndyCar calendar. Danica Patrick, a race winner here in the IndyCar Series several years back. And ticking down the final seconds in the warm-up session as we get set to go racing for the 2021 SimSeats RealSimRacing Cup Series All-Star Race. The clock strikes 0, and let's go down trackside and take a look at your starting grid. Pole position for this one does indeed belong to the 79 of Dylan Coyle. He will bring us to the green flag this evening alongside the number 30 of Michael Kuczynski. Minazzi Major and Nicholas Barra will double up at row number 2. They'll start in 3rd and 4th position with Matthew Barra and Cody Harris Nolan, the top 6.
Rhett McBride in 7th with Kyle Kamer in 8th. Ross Cato and Sam Dieto going to be rounding out the top 10 drivers. Dieto, of course, the All-Star Open winner. We'll have to see if we can pull together the same result here tonight with Chris Rabel and Kyle Trudell rounding out the first dozen drivers.
Michael Araya going to be the next car back. The number 44 starts 13th alongside Nick Silver. Jeremy Miller and Agnew Phillip, middle of the road, P15 and 16 with Brandon Bowie and Sean Casto to the rear of the field. That is a look at your 18 car, 9-row deep starting grid for this All-Star. Again, a non-points exhibition. 10 of these 18 drivers raced their way in through the All-Star Open. The other 8 drivers, all drivers who are locked in courtesy of race wins in their RealSimRacing Cup Series career. So the lights are out on top of the pace car. We'll go back to our in-race reporter, Dylan Coyle, one more time, and then maybe we'll leave him alone a little bit more in this race than normal because he's at the front, which, Dylan, 41st in points. That gives you the top spot. What you gonna do with those RaceSpot colors, top of the field?
RaceSpot colors? They're Reading Royals colors now.
Yeah, RaceSpot on the car too, but yes, new car. It does look nice on the next gen.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
How are you gonna win this bad boy?
I'm going to win it by finishing first.
That is a bold strategy, and we will see how that plays out, because we're going. The lights on top of the iRacing pace car are out. It will be in this time. 50-lap race. Caution flags are on. Any caution laps will not count against our race total. Drivers have 2 additional sets of tires down pit road if needed, and they do have 1 quick repair if they get into an incident. The pace car down to the safety of pit lane, and the field is in the hands of the number 79 of Dylan Coyle as we say, let's go All-Star Racing at Twin Ring.
Trouble already. One car getting center middle of the pack. Sandiego having a big moment. Somehow saves it. Still trying to fishtail the 88 machine. Now he fully spins the 2 around and into the inside wall. Just like lap 1 in the All-Star Open. No caution as they're 4 wide up the road.
Yeah, no caution. It's towards the rear of the field, and Sam Nieto was not happy. It may have been contact with Kyle Kamer down in turn number 3, but 1 car, no incident. We stay green. Coyle leads at the front of the field, and here come the 15 machine. Rhett McBride, he'll go down to the inside of Kuczynski. That one a side-by-side fight for 4th. Inside should be the better position off of turn 4.
Inside should be a good position as well. One other driver way down the inside. That's Chris Rabel having a moment off of turn number 4. He manages to recover nicely. 3 wide up in front for the final podium position. Minazza Major backs up from the bottom side. Michael Kuczynski is going to try to maintain 4th place. He didn't have to get the draft here around that outside line. We've seen how powerful it can be later on in the run. It's very powerful early in the run as well, though, as Kuczynski clears before they get to turn number 3.
There's some drivers trying to settle into their positions. Of course, we talk about these next-gen cars. It'll give a tip of the cap to the Barra duo of Nick and Matt Barra for running those door numbers pushed back, which is the big rumor, which will be the standard in NASCAR for next year. We'll see, but kudos to them for giving it a go. That is the number 32 of Nicholas Barra, who drops a spot, getting passed up by Rhett McBride, who was on a charge. Started 7th in this race. He's +5, and he is on the doorstep of the race lead now in the number 2 spot.
Right on the doorstep, and his comrade back there, Matthew Marr, working his way through the order as well. Just gets past Kyle Kamer. Now trying to work on Minazza Major and Michael Kuczynski. Gonna give a little bit of an arrow push to Kuczynski, and that's what they note as well. When it comes to bump drafting in these cars, very difficult to actually get a bump draft going. The arrow push is a lot more common. Here we see the contact, Sandiego getting a little bit of a tap, and it was from Kyle Kamer that sent him around.
And he was not happy with Kyle Kamer and how that went down. Sam Nieto complaining that same thing happened to him in that open, and an early incident takes him out of contention for the time being. Not done yet. And look at Michael Kuczynski pushing way up and onto the door of Matthew Mara in the set of a 3 and 4. That one a fight for positions number 5 and 6. The Mara brothers running the after the turns identical or kind of inverted paint schemes, but same color scheme generally between the number 23 and the 32. And yes, it's after the turns, not after the laps, as I incorrectly said a couple of times the last time through. But shout out to them for being the official podcast of RSR. And I know, as you mentioned a little bit earlier in the evening, Nolan, looking forward to joining them on tomorrow's show. Kuczynski is way up the hill, though, in turns 3 and 4. And here comes Brandon Bowie down on the inside, trying to make some noise. Bowie is the biggest mover, up 10 positions after starting this race in 17th. Now make it 11 as he takes away position 6.
No big surprise that Brandon Bowie is up near the front of the screen. He is a very, very fast driver indeed, so it's not really a surprise that we see Bowie running up here in the top grouping with some of these guys. He's one of those guys that's locked into the playoffs on wins, locked in this All-Star race on wins as well. 5th place in points, so Bowie is a serious threat to Dylan Coyle's potential victory here tonight in this All-Star race. Rhett McBride has caught Coyle in the meanwhile, and he's trying to make a look for the race lead.
And continuing to apply the pressure, you can see all the movement on the left-hand side of your screen with the running order. Anytime somebody highlights in green, they're going up. Anytime somebody highlights in red, they're going down. But look at this mid-pack scrap. Michael Kaczynski's number 30 Chevrolet on the outside. It's Cody Harris to the inside. It is 8th on back where this blockade of traffic is. And again, Kaczynski struggling to keep that 30 car low in turns 3 and 4. And Kyle Kamer, he's going to go up the middle 3 wide back here in the pack as the battle for the race lead is on. McBride to the inside of Coyle at 1 and 2, side by side for the race lead.
Side by side for the lead. Coyle trying to pinch him down against the 2. Nearly scrapes the wall, just barely keeps it off. Coyle is going to be able to pull ahead, but not enough to clear before they get to 3. I think McBride is going to have this one. Now clears for the race lead. Dylan Coyle, though, not done fighting so now. He's going to try to fight the outside line. All of that is allowed. Oh, a lot of content in the mid-pit pack is still 3 wide with Kamer out the middle. I think that 8 car just got muscled out as well.
And there's a lot of people forcing their way through, and there's a lot of drivers who had top 10 starting positions that have dropped back. Kaczynski's down 7, Kamer's down 5, Nieto to the rear after that incident down 8 positions. So Coyle held strong in the battle for the race lead, and it is a 50-lap sprint. Only 74.5 miles start to finish in this SimSeats All-Star race, but we're only 10 laps in. There's a long way to go. As you can see Rabel down on the inside. Look out, a checkup up the road. It is a slow number 30 of Kaczynski that will part the seas. He had to check up after Nicholas Mara nearly wrecked. He got together with Agnel Phillip in turn 4.
That puts a lot of damage on Nicholas Mara's number 32 car. A lot of damage for him to work with. And we saw what little damage happened to Liam Machine at the All-Star Open and how much that caused him to lose out in that race. So no doubt Nicholas Mara's hopes for the win tonight are done. There's going to Phillip. Phillip swings wide, slides back down into Mara, and there's a hit from Kaczynski to the tail end, and the whole field scrambles behind. Oh, Nicholas Mara's just crashed hard on the front straightaway as well to the 32 machine.
I was just about to say that that's the kind of damage that those drivers are going to want to get fixed if they have an opportunity to use the quick repair. And there is a caution flag now for the first time this evening. Jeremy Miller appears to be involved. I think he was the one who got into Nick Mara. And we have our first caution of the All-Star. And almost a lifesaver, Nolan, for the drivers involved in that chaos over the last 5 laps, because they're going to use that quick repair, which is a rarity here on RSR Monday nights.
It certainly is a very big rarity. Of course, unfortunately for Nicholas Mara, I'm pretty sure this will put him 1 lap down as well, as he did have to take the tow back to pit road. So despite caution items not being counted, Nicholas Mara, from the looks of things on official score, it will be down 1 for the restart.
We will see if he could get his way through. Something else that's important is when iRacing, you set it up for, remember, these caution laps are not going to count against our 50-lap total. So we're on lap 12. We'll restart coming to 13. We aren't going to lose laps under this caution flag period. When you do set that up, there is no automatic lucky dogs. And because Nick Mara was involved in the incident, not eligible for that anyway, so he will be stuck a lap down. Could be eligible, though, for a manual one or a wave round should he neglect pit service a little bit later on. But that's the question now, right? Field grouped up behind the pace car is, do you decide to come down and get some damage fixed? Do you come down for tires? The race leaders with a very late dive, and it is a split call. McBride and Coyle in from the top spot, but Manazzi Major, Brandon Bowie, and Matt Mara will stay out, and they'll go to the race lead. 5 cars total stay out, everybody else down pit road.
I was looking for my pit stall at the very beginning. I forgot I had the pole.
You're not used to the pit stall being that far down, huh?
Not at all.
I wouldn't be either, so I don't blame you on that one. I like the call of pitting here. You guys, in the Open, only had 1 additional set of tires. In this one, you have 2. Clearly, your call's in the majority. Does it make you feel better?
Sort of. I wanted to do whatever Rhett was doing. Just felt more comfortable that way, knowing that it wasn't just going to be me making a decision. I think he's got the worst off spot. Whenever you're in first, you're just hoping that people kind of do what you do, or you get the right call. It's just uncomfortable there.
That's, I think, the idea, putting people in an uncomfortable position. So the difference in tires is going to be just shy of a dozen laps, Nolan. There's no doubt that the drivers who pitted are going to have an advantage here, right? We were looking at fall off. Take Matt Mara for an example towards the front of the field. His fastest lap of the race was a 35.7. His last lap before the yellow was a 36.5. So just a little bit under a second of fall off. So there's no doubt the guys on tires will have the benefit. But if we get handful more yellows later, of course, those 5 up front have saved a set of tires for later. They could be on the benefit on the back end. And that's what makes this kind of strategy so fun, is there is no right or wrong answer, because we don't know how the second half of this race is going to play out strategy-wise. But fun that the split call is going to give us some fresh, or faster cars, I should say, with fresher tires towards the rear. And kind of like the start of the race with the faster cars towards the back, it'll be fun watching them try to navigate a track that's been tricky to pass on so far.
This will also give... Oh, I'm sorry for cutting you off there, Nolan.
Oh, no, you're all good. I was actually going to talk about you anyway. I was going to mention that Dylan was the first of the drivers off of pit road, and you'd expect McBride to be the first off, but he kind of fudged his pit stop up a little bit there, Evan. Ended up actually striking the wall, the smallest of bits, on the left side when he was coming into his pit box. So he had to back up, do the whole reversal, which brings forward another big issue with pit road. You don't want to be down there too much, because, of course, it's a very difficult pit road as well. Concrete, of course, very hard to stop, and some drivers getting caught out by that one early on.
Tricky. All of these things that drivers are not familiar with can make these races very exciting. We're going to have a restart this time to put lap number 12 behind us. We'll take a restart with 39 laps to go. Crossing over to lap number 13. Pace car down and in. Remember, your top 5 on old tires. First car with freshies, Dylan Coyle in position number 6. Green flag flies. We're back underway, and it is all Minazzi Major to turn 1.
Coyle already gonna try to go down the middle. Ross Cato, nothing he can do about it around the outside line. Matthew Morrow almost got squeezed in down on the apron, but that's gonna put Dylan Coyle up to 4th. He's still side by side with Nick Silver for the 4th position. They're looking for 3, almost 4 wide behind him. They're gonna keep it 3. Wise on Sandy Evans trying not to go for that, especially since he is actually on the lead lap. Vieto, he broke all odds, managed to maintain his lap after the end of the day.
Yeah, he's towards the rear, but is still on the lead lap and looking to fight for the top position. To the inside is going to go Brandon Bowie. Equal tire fight between Bowie and Major. And again, you're looking for the 79 of Coyle and the number 3 machine of Silver. Those are the drivers with fresh tires. Coyle up to the top of the racetrack. Silver going to tuck in line as well. And at the top side, the place to be in 3 and 4. But on equal tires, Brandon Bowie taking it to Minazzi Major, and after starting this race 17th out of 18 drivers in the field, of course that means he's the second highest driver in 2021 points of the 18 drivers in this race. He has put himself to the race lead, but Coyle continues to lurk, so does Silver. You're on board with the 3 car.
What did I tell you? It's no big surprise that Brandon Boo's up there, 5th place in points, already win on the season. He's a very, very quick driver, no matter what you put him in. So Brandon Bowie definitely just showing he's the driver to beat. Dylan Coyle's want to take the fight to him, though. Screams down the inside for turn number 3, and Coyle picks up the race lead in 3 and 4. The 79 car, pole sitter on the night, is back to the point.
Ka-chow.
And that is where the strategy comes in, but Brandon Bowie's not going to give up. He looks to the inside, not going to be able to make it stick. Coyle going to get some space to work with, and now that mid-pack battle is going to be the exciting part because he's still got more cars on fresh tires trying to fight through. The cars who stayed out and restarted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 currently run about 2, 5, 7, 10, and 12. So they have not been able to hold their ground well, but again, they got one more set of tires should this race have a few more yellows towards the end. Nick Silver now passing Brandon Bowie for second. This is an equal tire fight for the race lead. The Ford of Silver looking to the inside ahead of a battle with Minazzi Major, Kyle Trudell and company. And that Nick Silver machine sticking good on the inside of turn 2, battling for the race lead.
Oh, Silver stalls out, though, right when he gets door-to-door with Coyle. Coyle backs off just a little bit more. Might be trying to get the run, go for the crossover. Silver's trying to hold strong on the inside line, and his keeping it real, number 3. And now we begin the IndyCar slide, so to speak, when you just kind of swing back and forth across the track in an effort to break the draft coil right to the back bumper. Had to check up to avoid running over the 3.
They are pushing the limits, Dylan.
I can't wait to watch that replay and hear me go ka-chow. I hope Owen Wilson's happy.
I can't believe you're talking while you're running P2, man. You don't like talking to us when you're running P32.
Would never.
I wouldn't willingly put myself in a race car to embarrass myself. I'll save that for another time, as here comes now Cody Harris, of course. One of the rocket young drivers in this league, has been oh so good on the road courses specifically, but just I think good generally speaking as some of the newer talent into RSR. And because of that, with a few more limited starts, actually found himself with a better qualifying position in this race than most of the drivers that he runs around normally on a Monday night. Started 6th, currently rides 3rd. Here's a side-by-side bout between the 7 of Kyle Trudell to the outside and Brandon Bowie on the bottom. Bowie, one of the last strongholds, and he is sideways off of turn 4. Those old tires will not grip up at that end of the racetrack, and now wrecking behind for our second caution of the afternoon. Jeremy Miller is around from P16, and he had a little bit of help.
Got run over with Sean Casto, it looked like, in the 52 machine. And probably a good thing that happened too, because it was about to all break loose up at the front end as well. Nicholas Marr was the only driver behind, and he had a bit of a close call just trying to get around this wreck after the caution came out. So single car spin. Take a look at the replay here. I don't know what Sean Casto was thinking was going to happen there.
Yeah, there's a discussion ongoing on the radio right now. Casto is asking Jeremy if he checked up a lot. It did look like there was a big closing right, and Jeremy replied that he felt like he missed the corner a little bit. Didn't think he missed it by that much, but good that those drivers can kind of talk that one out, and Jeremy admitting that he had a little bit of damage from that previously, so not surprised if he was a little bit off pace. But it's good when drivers are able to kind of discuss those things amongst themselves, and now another opportunity to come down and pit. So those cars who all decided to not pit last time should be down pit road this time. I think all of them are in, but Minotzi Major. We'll wait for the scoring to cycle all the way through. But this is the opportunity now on the back end. The drivers who didn't take tires, Nolan, can get them now, and they'll have the benefit. And if you're a Dylan Coyle, a Nick Silver, a Cody Harris, a Kyle Trudell, you cannot come in right now to take tires because you can't burn your one and only remaining set, not even halfway through the race. So this is where those strategy ebbs and flows, and now the benefit going to go to the flip side.
Indeed, it's going to make it very difficult for some of these drivers that, you know, tend to work with it here. Brandon Bowie among the drivers that came down as well, and he was one of those guys that was really quick even on the restart. Like you were saying, gave those leaders a really good fight, got himself up to the lead, if only for a short while. Held on to 4th place, though, all the way through that. He was going to lose even more than that because he did end up getting really sideways, but that caution probably saved Brandon Bowie from going further down than he would have otherwise.
Yeah, they would have continued to slide and slide. Now, I think in a short race like this, the worst case scenario for somebody who doesn't pit because of saving tires is that you're so slow that you get lapped. And then that takes away any benefit of saving tires, because sure, you'll have fresher tires later, but if you're not on the lead lap, it does you absolutely no benefit. But it looks like all 18 cars in this race on the lead lap at the moment. And I don't know if I'm simply misreading this or if my timing and scoring was incorrect, but I still show that Minotzi Major has not been down pit road at all. And that, if true, is very bold, because now I think everybody else in the field has taken one set of tires. Remember, everybody was given 2 additional sets. He is the only one, I think, still with 2. He'll be slow here, but for these, if there's more yellows late in this race, Nolan, drivers are going to have to decide, am I going to take tires now? Am I not going to take tires? He can have the benefit of taking them more than anybody else. So it's a very big risk early in this race, but I mean, man, in an all-star race, that's the kind of stuff I like to see. Somebody rolling the dice.
Especially since we're getting closer to that halfway point when the gambles really tend to roll in big. You got yourselves about 30 laps remaining here when we take that green flag. It'll be 31 to be exact when we come back in just half a lap's time here. So It's a very bold call from Minazzi Major, but that means he can split those 2 tires up 1 every 10 laps if the cautions come out in that pattern. He's going to be good to go at the end, whereas the others will not, and he'll have that advantage on pretty much every restart with fresh rubber.
And coming to the restart now, still shy of halfway home. Take a restart with 31 laps to go from Japan. Pace car down and in. Nick Silver going to go very early. Your top 9 drivers staying out. Green flag back in the air.
The top 3 clear. Cody Harris trying to fend off Kyle Camber just behind. The number 8 car with the big head of steam into turn 1. Didn't quite manage to get the run, though. Pushed too wide, had to back off. So he's ended up going to be losing out in the run down the backstretch. But look at how powerful the side draft is. Harris dropping like a rock. Almost loses 2 spot. Now he throws it to the inside of 3. Nearly runs over Camber just in front of him.
And Rhett McBride now the odd man out, and he'll go up to that 3rd lane. Drop back spots as Agnew Phillip tries to put the number 94 Chevrolet through the middle. All 18 cars who started this all-star race still on track and all still on the lead lap. As Nick Silver leads atop Kyle Trudell. Dylan Coyle now back up into position number 3, making a couple of passes on the likes of Kamer and Harris. Is this going to be some 3 wide down the back straightaway? You betcha. To the inside goes the 2 of Sam Nieto. He's got the 88 on that Ford this afternoon with the lack of Andrew Friedage in the field. Remember, he was junked early in this race. Nolan took that quick fix. He's back into the mix, but that inside line was not kind to him in 3 and 4. He'll actually lose a spot when it's all said and done.
The inside line, it's not the place you wanted to be in these next-gen cars. We talked about that through the All-Star Open, how powerful the run could be around the outside if you could just get the side draft going. A couple of drivers have mentioned as well just how crucial that draft could be in how this race could play out. That goes just not just nose to tail, but it goes door to door as well.
So I'm interested to see now that the majority of the cars are on the old tires, right? Last time through, it was only 5 who stayed out. Now it's the opposite. The majority of the cars are on the older tires. It's a minority of cars on freshies. They're having a much more difficult time driving through as Nieto's going to stick that car nearly onto the apron and force that Southern Creek Clothing Company Ford of Chris Rabel out of the way. The lead car with fresh tires is Brandon Bowie. Is he picking up positions? Absolutely. The number 34 creeping into the back shot of this battle. But when the cars with fresh tires, Nolan, are the minority and not the majority, it's a lot harder for them to make up traffic as quickly as you saw that first group did. 4 wide, maybe? They were looking, but Bowie thinks better of it. We'll stay 2 by 2.
It wouldn't be the first time they went 4 wide. They had that one run very, very early in the All-Star race. Not the All-Star Open. We didn't get that crazy, but it goes to show that these guys are willing to do just about anything to pick up some spots here, and no doubt as we get further into crunch time and halfway, just about 1 lap away at the line, the potential for 4 wide is going to get closer and closer, and the chances of us actually seeing it are definitely going to be higher as well.
We haven't really seen anybody control this race much either. Nick Silver is still up front, but he is under fire from Kyle Trudell. You can see on that shot down the front straightaway, they were kind of serpentining high, low, trying to break that draft. We've talked so much about how important the draft is in these next-gen cars. Look at the 3, try to shake him off a little bit, try to break that draft. The 7 car looks to the bottom. It almost looked like Kyle Trudell was expecting a block. He looked to the inside, but didn't commit to the pass. Now he'll drive up the inside, and a door-to-door fight for the race lead. Well, Dylan Coyle's got a front row seat watching on for 3rd. Dead heat to the start-finish line. Advantage Silver up top, but Kyle Trudell looking good on the inside of 1 and 2.
Look at how much Coyle closed up the one entry. These guys are hurting themselves whenever they're side by side. They cannot break away. They're actually starting to build a gap over Dylan Coyle before this. Now Coyle's going to look 3 wide for the race lead. Down to turn number 3. The 79 car with the run, throws it up the inside. He takes the lead away. Maybe Silver backs out from the top group. Kyle though, not done fighting. He's going to try to get the run up the outside line and blaze down the front straightaway. Got them behind as they do go 4 wide.
This battle for the lead has brought everybody into the conversation. Harris looks to the inside of Coyle. Coyle shuts the door. He'll go back to the race lead. In the center of 1 and 2, your top 10 cars are separated by less than 1 second at lap number 27. So Coyle goes to the lead, but now everybody else has his draft. Trudell back to the inside. There's Harris in third. Silver pouncing to the inside in a fight for third in that 3 car. This is good stuff in the SimSeats All-Star race.
Looking at the cockpit camera for Dylan Coyle down to the bottom right. Look, a concentration on his face as he's trying to fight the outside line around Kyle Trudell. And of course, giving a little bit of a camera flash there as well. You know, well, why the heck not? I mean, it's still a Coyle. You got to have some style in it.
Always the flair. Here we go. 3 wide for the lead. No! Trudell shuts the door as Silver tried to go way to the inside. It pushes the 7 into the corner, and somehow Trudell's going to push the block into a push, go to the race lead. The 8 car of Kamers in the fence at a 4. He'll drop a spot as Sam Nieto and Chris Rabel make a pass on him, and somehow, once again, it's the number 7 machine to the front of the field. Kyle Trudell now leading at lap number 29, side by side for second. Coyle to the outside of Silver.
I love these cars. They race so well. And Silver is showing how they race well as he dives on the inside. Oh, rubs up against Coyle's quarter panel there.
Got a 0X.
Here comes the Nieto trying to make it 3 wide down the bottom. Almost 5 wide behind them.
Could have watered them up. They got away with a little bit of a touch, and we carry on. Trudell, for the moment, can breathe. Maybe a 0.3 of a second advantage up front. Coyle now sole possession of second, and they are on each other's door for position 4 and 5 as Cody Harris has to tuck back in line behind the number 27 machine behind him of Jeremy Miller. There's just virtually no separation. You got a couple of guys with damage towards the back of the field, but your top 14 are within 3 seconds of each other. Of course, this is a lower horsepower, higher downforce version of the intermediate package this year. That's been back up to the higher number. Of course, fans love cars that are hard to drive. In this next-gen car, NASCAR still hasn't committed to what the horsepower is going to be. That goes back to the conversation I mentioned early in the race. Now, these cars may change on the sim between now and next year, but at least at Twin Ring, and give credit to the track. We both said, Nolan, how much we love this racetrack. I think the track needs some credit as well, but this has been a great race thus far inside of 20 laps to go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, single file for a moment. You're watching the battle for P6 on back, and it is the 6 of Harris who's trying to hold off everybody else. Rabel and Bowie are side by side behind him.
Rabel clipped the apron that last time by through 1 and 2. That kind of unsettled the back end. He is going to lose out to Michael Araya around the outside line. 44 car with a lot of speed. Here comes Brandon Bowie as well, trying to work his way up front. Coyle once again going for the lead. Patrick was able to fend him off, and now Nick Silver puts himself back up into the picture, going for second. Now, the problem is, if these guys stay side by side for second for too long, Trudell's going to run away with it here. That's what happened in the All-Star Open. As soon as they got side by side for second, Sam Nieto was able to run away, pull a 3-second gap within about 10 laps.
Saw that just 5 laps ago when the leaders got side by side, right? It wasn't 10 cars in a second, but it did. As soon as they were side by side for about 2-3 laps, it allowed everybody else to draft up and join the party. What a slice to the bottom as Coyle tries to get a sneak attack to the inside of Jeremy Miller in a fight for second. Nick Silver was P2 last time by the start-finish line. He's going to be 5th this time by as he gets gives a little bit of a push, I should say, to Sam Nieto's number 88 Ford, running the number 4 spot right now. And you can see Kyle Trudell, the magic number, about 0.3 of a second. I mean, we haven't seen, at least in this feature, saw it in the Open, you talked about that, how it affected the battle for the race lead, Nolan, but in this All-Star feature, we haven't seen the gap get much bigger than that. As we look a little further down the road, Michael Araya started 13th. He's up to position number 8. He's dealing with a fight from Agnell Phillip. Just to remind you once again, we talked about tires. That man right there up top, Jeremy Miller, is the lead car on fresh tires. From the last pit stop, it's taken longer than it did on the first cycle, but those fresh tires are kicking in, and the 27 car is up to P2.
What's crucial is that he's also cleared the field behind, so he can run down the race leader and potentially close them on in. Big slice to the inside for Silvers. He tried to get a dive. That allows Coyle to get clear, though. Now it's a side-by-side battle for third and fourth, and look at already how much Jeremy Miller is slicing Kyle Trudell's lead apart, just tearing that gap to shreds every straightaway. The only car side by side in this field at the moment is Michael O'Ryan. He is dropping like a stone. We're right to the front bumper. You saw that Cody Ayers is able to pull around from directly behind, over in front of him, just at the straightaway.
Here's an onboard look, and you can see the lack of banking, right? We talk about lateral grip in these racetracks with more banking. Some of them, the progressive banking is the feature that makes them so racy. There's more banking, it looks like, down at this end of the racetrack at Twin Ring. We talked about that backwards Darlington characteristic of it, but you know, on this oval, the super speedway, 10 degrees of banking all the way around, but I know that turns 1 and 2 definitely feel different than 3 and 4. Is speaking of 3, almost some 3 wide. I know Phillip was looking at the bottom of the duo between Cody Harris and Brandon Bowie fighting for 6th, opted not to, and there is Bowie, middle of the road, number 34 machine, as the leaders once again snaking down the straightaway. Kyle Trudell can see Jeremy Miller eating into his race lead with the fresh tires and with the draft. And once those top 2 cars start serpentining, everybody else follows. Not a lot of it this time by, but certainly a lot of jockeying for position as Jeremy Miller has arrived on the scene of a battle for the race lead, but maybe caught sleeping a little bit, left the inside open, and Dylan Coyle almost snatched it from him.
Oh, Miller, that's a bit close to the wall. Nearly hits the safer barrier. One car doesn't safer barrier. Heads up inside. Cody Harris slides down the second place finisher. The All-Star Open spins it around, and that caution flag is out for the 3rd time today. And from the looks of it, Brandon Bowie actually kicked this one off. He slammed the outside wall, and Harris had nowhere to go.
Just followed him right into the outside wall. It was led all the way out with Miller getting close, but because so many cars were in line, every car after him was a little bit closer, and it eventually came to a head with Brandon Bowie got into the outside wall from position number 6. Cody Harris was behind him in 7th, got into the wall and spins caution number 3 of this SimSeats All-Star race. Could this be the money stop? Everybody in the field with 1 additional set of tires left on pit road, with the exception of Manazzi Major, who has not taken any sets of tires, but courtesy of that gamble, has slid from 3rd on the grid to 16th. So if he gets tires now, there's no benefit because everybody else presumably going to get tires. It's the longest we've seen anybody go on tires tonight, so I would assume the call is going to be to come in, but there could always be somebody who wants to risk it. If you risk it to go for the win and don't get it, who cares? There's no points on the line. It's all about bragging rights and a SimSeats swag pack, and it is not unanimous. Most cars will come to pit road, including Kyle Trudell and Jeremy Miller from 1 and 2. However, Sam Nieto, Michael Laraya, Sean Casto, and Matthew Mara do not pit.
Wow.
Everybody else is in. I'm guessing it's a 4-tire call.
That is a very interesting call from Nieto, Laraya, Casto, and Mar. It's worth noting that 2 of those drivers have already stopped twice in this race. Those drivers being Sean Casto and Michael Laraya. So it's an interesting call from at least 2 of those drivers stay out. But for Laraya and Casto, they might have already used both sets of tires. They have stopped twice so far today. Matthew Martin and San Diego have only stopped once though. So why they would not come down to pit road is beyond me.
I was going to say, it typically in a late race situation like this, sometimes drivers on old tires can win it by riding cautions to the end, right? There's a restart, there's a wreck, the yellows eat up the laps. Not with this All-Star rules format. Lap number 38, top left-hand corner of your screen, that number is not going to change until the restart. So he is going to have to deal with, one way or another, when a restart comes by, about 11 laps of green flag racing regardless. So that'll be interesting to see. It looked like the popular call. Everybody who did pit did decide to go with 4 tires in fuel. Sam Nieto in the race lead with only 1 trip to pit road this afternoon is on 27 lap-old tires, Nolan. Most of the time when we've seen drivers come to the field with freshies, we're talking about 7 lap-old tires, 10 lap-old tires. His are 27 laps old. The trio behind him on tires that are about 20 laps old. And, well, as we talk about that strategy and the gamble, it looks like, as the field comes back down into turns number 1 and 2, that they did opt to hang out. So we'll see how this thing shakes out. 27 lap old tires from the race lead, 20 lap old tires second to fourth, and everybody fifth on back with fresh tires, getting ready for a 12 lap to go restart.
Woohoo!
And it's worth noting as well with these guys at the top is that it's not just 27 laps of running clean. These are guys that were, slicing and dicing left and right all over the racetrack, pushing it extremely hard into these corners, washing wide, breaking the back end out. So those tires, they may as well be almost 30 laps old at this point, how aggressive they were driving. So that's no doubt is going to play another huge factor. Thankfully, they have this car to get those tires cooled down a little bit back to that optimum operated window.
Could this be the last restart of the afternoon? The pace car to pit road. It'll be Kyle Trudell and Jeremy Miller side by side on the front row. Sean Casto and Matthew Barr third and fourth. The lead car with fresh tires is Kyle Trudell in fifth, and that 88 Ford goes early. Green flag flies for Sam Nieto. 12 laps to go at Motegi.
Going 3 wide already. Look out for Kyle Trudell trying to fight the middle. Gets squeezed out by Jimmy Miller and Sean Castle. Castle, watch out for the 52 car. Slams Matthew Mara. Mara slides off the corner. Miller checks up. Hard to the outside wall. 3-4 wide. Trying to scramble. And the big one is going to take place here at Twin Motegi. And Miller flips wildly down the back straightaway.
Might be your first look at the underside of a next-gen car. Jeremy Miller barrel rolling down the back straightaway. A huge wreck at lap number 39. And it all started. Sean Casto, a little bit, I couldn't tell if it was tight or loose. I think it was tight because I didn't see the back end bobble. But he pushed up the hill, tagged Matthew Barra, who almost had an incredible save until I think Miller may have finished him off. Put him into the outside wall. Here you go. There's the slide by Casto. He tags Barra sideways. And I can't tell if Miller hooked him or if it was just an overcorrection there, Nolan. But he gets into the fence, comes down, and there's Miller barrel rolling down the back straightaway. But a third of the field involved in that incident.
Look at Kyle Kamer. He just darted his way through there like a slippery little fish. Just wriggled his way through and somehow came out without a spot of damage. That is some incredible drive from the 8 car. Good grief. I don't think I've ever seen something like that in these next-gen machines yet.
See if we can get a replay of that one. Dylan Coyle was also able to avoid that one. Let's take a look with Kyle Kamer. Here's his perspective as the wreck breaks out at a 2.
Smoke starts to puff up here. There's the car on the outside wall. Starts to go down, but all the cars are wrecking down here. There's Miller going flying and just left, right, and through the middle.
That is some of the best wreck avoidance you will see on the sim. That's good stuff. Had the patience to get on the brakes, but the wherewithal to not just lock him up, right? If he just mashed the brake pedal, those tires would have locked up and he would have slid right into the accident. So he slowed up as much as he could, but he did not lock up those tires. It allowed him to still control that car and make about 3 or 4 steering inputs to work his way through. Looks like a couple of the drivers just saw it on the broadcast as well. Kyle Trudell giving his compliments to Kyle Kamer for that one. That is some good stuff in that save. And now interesting, through 2 yellows, we've only burned 1 lap, right? That came just off of the race start, so we're pacing just at lap number 39. Long way to go still.
Now, question. Do we have double file?
The normal RSR Cup Series rules are in effect, which means that if a caution to flag comes out within 1 lap of a restart, it is a single file restart. And before I could even finish the sentence, Nolan, Dylan relayed to the driver's track side that it is single file. And that's tough for you because if it was side by side in P7, that would be on the inside of row 4 for you. Instead, because it's single file, you're basically row 7. So there's that much more spacing it makes it difficult for you back in the pack to try to dig up and get some spots. So considerably a benefit to the cars, I think, in the top 3 or so.
He's going to be starting 4th. He was scored as P7 to the start, but with all the cars that got caught up in the wreck, he's sitting 4th place on the track at the moment, and iRacing has not put him back to 7th place, so Coyle's going to start to be in a pretty good run here in this one.
Well, Trudell.
That's what I get for trusting the iRacing timing, by the way. And I'll use it as a shout out to our friends at Joel Real Timing, who that version of my timing and scoring is correct, and so still in position number 4. So a lot of people who make this happen on Monday night. Shout out to the folks at SimSeats, the After the Turns team. Of course, McCody set up shop, and we'll give some love to JRT as well. It's tough sometimes.
You know, it's really difficult sometimes.
Trying to hold off this field, because it looks like every time you
start single file.
No, that's one of the only rules that is carrying over, is the single file restart.
I blame
procedure.
the admin.
I'll give you guys a fun story. See all those blank billboards in turns 3 and 4? Let's do some fun fact that those were blanked out because they were not IndyCar sponsors, but the IndyCar iRacing Challenge ran here at Motegi. Fun little insider scoop. Here we go. Restart. 39 laps down, 11 laps to go, and they're going to be way spread out, single file to turn number 1. Nieto's advantage, 0.3 of a second.
No crazy double file action this time in the turn number 1. The only piece of action we got that's double file is Nicholas Barnick Silver way back in the field for 13th and 14th. No doubt, though, the single file action will not last long, as you can see 2nd and 3rd place starting to snake across the track. Loraya and Trudell looking to go for it. Dylan Coyle already throwing it into the inside of these quarters early.
What a big push for Michael Loraya. I don't think it was a good idea for these guys to fight over second, catch the leader first, but Loraya had no grip and just slid all the way up the hill in 3 and 4. And now here comes Bowie. Coyle both to the inside of Loraya. 3 wide in a battle for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. They're on each other's door, and they'll make that work for the moment, but Sam Nieto sees them coming. Here comes Kyle Trudell on the doorstep of the race lead. Bowie's in 3rd, Coyle Loraya 4 and 5.
And Trudell is going to get the run around the outside line. New leader, Kyle Trudell, back to the point with 9 laps remaining in the 2021 SimSeats RealSimRacing Cup Series All-Star Race. Bowie chops across the Nieto's nose to pick up 2nd.
And now that 88 machine of Nieto is tied. He can't get that car to rotate. Here comes Coyle down to the inside. That fight is on for 3rd, but the counterattack is on for the race lead. Brandon Bowie now tries to take it away from Trudell. Couldn't make it stick. And the 7 car pulls a little bit at a turn number 4 with 9 laps to go here from Twin Ring Motegi. This thing is still up in the air. You can tell that single file benefit because your top 3 have a little bit of space, but this is what it looks like from about 4th position on back. A mess of race cars trying to chase down Kyle Kamer in position number 4.
Kyle Kamer's got a lot to work with. He's got to hope that the draft from Dylan Coyle keeps those guys at bay. Not to mention, they keep running side by side for 5th like they are. That's not going to help their run and work their way up to get a win either. And right now, Nieto is fighting with Chris Rabel. Rabel finally picks up P number 5. And Nieto's going to drop back and might lose out again to Rhett McBride, a driver who was caught out earlier today. And he has now since fixed that car. He is back to the point, trying to battle now for the top 5 spots. Have a look at Minazzi Major. 3rd place finisher in the All-Star Open, throwing it down the inside of the 2nd place All-Star Open finisher and Ross Cato to try to pick it up 3 wide as Major squeezes and Harris towards Cato.
Minazzi Major may be the only one who wants a yellow. Remember, he still has the set of tires he gambled. So he's making these passes on the same tires as everybody else. He would love another yellow and another opportunity to get more tires. Otherwise, that strategy gamble not paying off after he was once upon a time a top 3 starter in this race some 45 laps ago. Here's the onboard look outside of the racetrack there with Ross Cato. You can see trying to dig. He's going to be checked up, though, by Sam Nieto in front of him. Does he go 3 wide? Took a moment to think about it, and a little bit of frustration with the hands there off of turn 2. Just nowhere for him to go there, and opted it was not worth going 3 wide. So he's stuck behind the 88. Now finally moving him out of the way. He has had enough. and Sam Nieto disposed of by Ross Cato.
He didn't even touch him. That was aero push. And that's, again, going back to the fact that aerodynamics on these cars, it's very hard to actually make contact in these cars when you're going for a bumper run or a bump trap. That was all aero pushed and push him out of the way. Never once made contact. And that's the more incredible thing about this type of racing is it can be surprisingly aggressive and feisty, but surprisingly clean at the same time.
It's been brilliant stuff thus far in this race now. In its closing moments, Kyle Trudell trying to open up an advantage, but it has dwindled to about 0.3 of a second. Coyle in second. Bowie trying to drive it underneath with less than 4 laps to go. Does anybody have something for that number 7 at the front of the field?
See, if I was Brandon Bowie, I would stop fighting Coyle and I would wait for Coyle
to work together, get up to him. Yeah,
exactly. You're not going to gain anything by trying to fight for him. You're only going to pull yourself further back. We saw it happen in the open. That's how San Diego won the race. And it almost happened here, but now Coyle, as you saw, trying to find the inside, but here goes Bowie again, looking to spoil the party.
And Coyle made a dive down into turn number 3. Look at the blockade back in the traffic as this has turned into a 6-car battle for the race lead with 3 laps to go. It was Dylan Coyle trying to get to the inside in turn 3. It tightened him up. He couldn't get the rotation off of the corner. And this is great for the 7 of Trudell because they are fighting for P2. Coyle wins that battle. Here comes Cameron on the outside. They'll touch into turn number 3. And now Dylan Coyle, free of the fight behind, needs to make up 2 car lengths to the race leader. 2 laps to go, this time by
2? Oh, God.
It's very doable. Pressure's on, Dylan. Make me proud, buddy. You won that IROC race at Talladega. Surely you can win a race here at Twin Bottega. You've done a good job so far this race. So Dylan Coyle trying to fight for the race lead. 1.5 laps to go. Trudell getting a bit of a tight run off of turn number 2 down the back straightaway. Coyle still has a chance to get this win.
And he looks to the inside. Is that going to be a race-winning move? The car gets tight, though. He can't make it stick. He has to lift. Trudell makes the corner. White flag this time.
Final lap. Bowie has the blockade. McBride down in the pit wall. That means he cannot fight against Coyle. Coyle's shoving it down the inside, trying to get a run at Trudell.
The 7 has been so good on corner exit. Coyle washes up just a little bit. Doesn't have the run. The difference is going to be 2.5 car lengths. Trudell low to block. Bowie going to push Coyle down the back straightaway. Last corner. Coyle to the inside. Kyle Trudell gets loose. The 79 tries to make it stick. It's Coyle on the inside. Trudell on the outside. A drag race to the line. And the 7 of Kyle Trudell in a 3-wide photo finish wins the SimSeats All-Star Race. What a race ending.
Oh my gosh. That reminds me of Darlington 2003 with all the beating and banging right down to the wire. Good grief, what a finish to a race. Probably the best possible finish we could have hoped. All the action in the world as they all crash hard after the checkered flag.
Dylan made the move on the inside work, but credit to Kyle Trudell, who didn't let it spook him. He fought back on the outside. Here's the overhead. He is all the way clear in the center of 3 and 4, but it's Trudell who's going to wind it up on the outside, get the big run along the fence. Kudos to Coyle, who gives him the space to work. They touch at the line. McBride tried to sneak underneath them, and the margin of victory is 3/100ths of a second. 0.030 between Kyle Trudell and Dylan Coyle. And Kyle Trudell, who qualified for this race. We talked about how the drivers got here. Coyle raced himself in through the open. Kyle Trudell was a lock, courtesy of 2 career points wins in the RSR Cup Series coming into tonight. And Kyle Trudell is your 2021 SimSeats RealSimRacing Cup Series All-Star Race champion. And he'll walk away with a swag pack courtesy of our friends at SimSeats. Congratulations, aplenty. Michael Kaczynski pulls up to give him a wave. And on that note, let's take a look at our SimSeats full race results. We talk about the margin of victory in this one. 3/100ths of a second. Trudell over Coyle. Rhett McBride on the inside sneaks away with the third. We will try to talk with all of them in just a moment. Chris Rabel, Kyle Kamer inside of the top 5 with Brandon Bowie, Cody Harris, Madatsi Major, Nick Silver, and Ross Cato, your top 10.
Agnell Phillip, 3.7 seconds behind your race leaders to finish in 11th, with Michael Laraya in 12th. Michael Kuczynski, give us a kudos to your race winner there, is in 13th position with Matt DeMar in 14th. Sam Nieto, the All-Star Open winner, could not pull it together in the All-Star race, finishes in 15th place with Nicholas Mara in 16th. Sean Castro finishes 1 lap down with Jeremy Miller after taking a wild ride to the back straightaway. Flips out of the race, finished 12 laps down.
To look top to bottom at your SimSeats full race results since 2009, SimSeats has been designing and fabricating high-quality, made-in-the-USA driving simulators, including motion systems, complete turnkey iRacing packages, and custom fabrication. Their customer base includes all racers from the amateur to the pro ranks, and everyone on the SimSeats team is a weekend racer too. Their passion for racing drives them to build better sim racing equipment. Join SimSeats for the thrill of racing at any time, in any car, and on any track by visiting sim-seats.com to learn more. Let's go trackside at Twin Ring Motegi and talk with your race winner. Kyle Trudell is the 2021 SimSeats All-Star Race champion. Kyle, congratulations. That looked wild from our perspective. Walk us through it from behind the wheel of the 7. Little lost for words. It happens. Kyle, you got a copy in the booth? He's speechless. I would be too if I came out on the top end of that one. So we'll get Kyle queued up here on the radio in just a moment. And in the meantime, Nolan, I'll let you talk with our own Dylan Coyle, who was 3/100ths of a second away. I know it's going to hurt, but he put on a hell of a show. You're talking with our P2 finisher.
Well, Dylan, you almost did the impossible. You were first place on the day. So close, but could have been just barely eked out at the line, and we could see the disappointment. Tell us how you're feeling.
I keep rewatching it, and I keep thinking, why did I give him as much space as I did up top? Yeah, the runs were coming from the outside all night out of 4. Now that's frustrating. That's frustrating.
So you're kind of feeling like Carl Edwards did at this point, like he did in Phoenix 2016, thinking, I should have wrecked him to go for that win.
No, I wasn't going to wreck him. There was no chance of me wrecking him. I just should have slid up in front of him. Would have disturbed his air, and I probably would have just gotten it. I don't know who was on the inside of me, but they were coming pretty quickly as well. Man. That's just... That's rough, you know. Didn't think I'd still be in it. I hope I put on a good show, you know. It's an all-star race. At the end of the day, it's just pride and a swag bag. I'm pretty disappointed there's no P2 swag bag, but whatever. Man. Well, I hope it was exciting to watch. Certainly sounded like it was exciting to broadcast. Yeah. I hope you enjoyed my ka-chows.
It was certainly very, very entertaining, to say the very least. We look forward. Obviously, you said tonight was very much a race for pride. It's for bragging rights, the All-Star race here at the Twin Ring Motegi. But we look forward. Nashville Super Speedway coming up next. So another brand new venue. Switching back to the old cars on a brand new track. Not a lot of people have had time to test it. We haven't seen a lot of actual races there as well. It's the first ever race we're seeing at the RSR in league history at that facility. What do you think the plan is going to be for that one? And what do you think we can expect from next week's race?
Well, I honestly have no idea what to expect. I just purchased the track today, but it's not going to drive like a normal 1.5 miles. It's not going to drive like Dover. It is concrete, but there's so many little intricacies about that place that I think it's going to be new for us all. And at the end of the day, Andrew Farinaj will win it.
Well, that would certainly fall in with the trend so far this season. Dylan, it's been a pleasure as always having you right along with us throughout the entirety of the race. And tough break today. Best of luck, hopefully, next year in next year's All-Star Racing. We're so close. Maybe next year.
Raced my way in.
Yeah. Well, hey, think about it this way. It could have been worse. You could have been the guy that flipped out of the race and finished 12 laps down. So it can always still be worse. Before I let you go, though, Dylan, anybody that let you shout out
question. I knew that question was coming, Nolan. You know what? I'd like to thank you for cheering me on with 2 laps to go. And it encouraged me to just yeet it, as Lorenzo Bonder from RaceSpot TV would have me say. That's my Discord name, by the way. Just yeet it. I hope I yeeted it there.
You certainly did do the yeet. I think that's safe to say. Well, thank you, Dylan, for taking the time to join us. It's been a pleasure as always, and we'll hopefully see you again next week, and we'll hopefully talk to you again very soon.
Thank you very much.
You can tell, Evan, he's disappointed. Rightfully so. So close, yet so far.
And had a lot of time up front in this race, and just that sort of a margin. Great show for us. But sometimes I feel like you'd almost rather lose it by a mile than by an inch. That's Dylan Coyle, who comes home in second. Let's head now to Real Sim Racing Victory Lane. We've got him on the radio now. Kyle Trudell is your 2021 Sim Seats Real Sim Racing Cup Series All-Star Race champion. Kyle, congratulations. From 12th on the grid to the front of the field. But it was a hell of a battle in between, including that last lap. What was it like from behind the wheel of the 7?
Yeah, it was, man. It was a couple of times from the back to the front and back and then to the front again. But probably one of the most fun races I've had here on the service. And I mean, this league never disappoints with its level of competition and intensity. So yeah, that was a blast.
You were racing in cars that we don't normally run. Eventually we will at some point, but they may change between now and then. But in cars that we don't normally run, at a track that we've never run at, what was it like trying to figure this thing out? It looked like, for the most part, that basically everybody was competitive and could do stuff with it.
Yeah, I think with the draft, and I was talking about it with Rhett there, and with my XPM guys here, was made a lot more impact than I thought it was going to be, than I really anticipated, even in practice. Didn't really have any good runs with and around people in practice. We just had about 15 minutes there to get ready for the race, so didn't really anticipate what the draft was going to be like there. But wow, I mean, it really affected the race. I mean, even out front there, I mean, there was no way I could really get away. And I could see Brandon team up with Dylan there, coming to the checkered flag and going into 3, gave him a huge push. And that's what it takes to try to make passes.
You knew a thing or two, though, about working the draft. Of course, 2020 IROC Series champion here at Real Sim Racing. But as we look forward to next week, another new challenge. Of course, we go back points racing, and we head for the first time to the Nashville Super Speedway. You guys are one of the highest running drivers in the standings without a win. As more drivers get wins, though, you find yourself a little bit closer to that P16 cutoff each time through. What are the expectations going into a track like that where there is no history to look back on? And what are you guys going to be focusing here on the second half of the season to make sure you got a chance to fight for the title?
Well, I think even like going into this race, I mean, we don't come here. There's not really even a lot of official racing here when it comes to iRacing. So, I think hopefully maybe this will create a little bit of an advantage, for us here. Going into a track that nobody's been to, and that might level the playing field out a little bit more. Ran a couple laps at Nashville here today, and it's pretty interesting. It should be a wild ride next week. I think everybody will have to, take a little bit more patience to finish well next week. But it's pretty exciting, man. It's cool to have Nashville on the service. Interesting track. I'm looking forward to it.
I'll let you get out of here and get back to celebrating. Before we do, Kyle, anybody else you want to say hi to?
Yeah, I want to thank the XPM guys here, Mike and Marius, for all the support, and also want to thank you guys for obviously putting this stuff on. The league is, like I said, really intense, and the competition level this year particularly is grown exponentially. So I'm gonna have a lot of work to do to try to repeat as a winner, but hopefully we get some momentum here. But yeah, thank you guys for broadcasting RaceSpot TV. Obviously, these are killer broadcasts. I like to share them with everybody watching out there. So appreciate you guys.
I appreciate having you race it with us on a Monday nights, Kyle. If we don't have drivers of your caliber, there is no show. So appreciate you being a part of the series. Thanks for coming out and putting on a show tonight. Congratulations on the win. And I'll let you know when you can expect that SimSeats swag pack headed your way.
Yeah, right on. I'm excited. Thank you guys so much.
He is your all-star race champion. Kyle Trudell wins it tonight in that incredible photo finish. So we've heard from your leader. We've heard from the runner-up. Let's go down to third on the standings. Rhett McBride was right there in the mix. Late Nolan, you're standing by with the third place finisher.
Well, Rhett, you come home third place, final driver on the podium, just 1/10 of a second behind Kyle Trudell. What a hard-fought fight it was for you as well. You definitely did not have it easy out there. It was a very fierce competition out there tonight. So, 50 laps of action later at the Toyota Motegi, how are you feeling?
Well, it was fun. I had a great time. Enjoyed this new car. I didn't really know what to expect. New track and new car. So got a few laps before we started, and yeah, we just lined them up and went for it. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, pretty fun indeed, especially for us up here to watch all of the action going on down there on the track. It was worth noting as well that, especially in the early stages of the race, people were tend to be a lot more split up in the early runs, but they would really bunch together quickly after about 4 or 5 laps had passed on through. Well, do you think that was just people taking it easy in the early stages, or do you think that was actually the car just splitting people up and then driving back together as, the runs went longer and longer?
I think it was just people getting comfortable in the car. At first, you just really don't know what to expect in big groups like this. There's so much aero on these new cars. So I'm assuming that, like me, I mean, when you're in clean air, you can do a lot. But when you're all bunched up like that, you really have to find out little tricks to make you, to kind of get you around other people. So I'm just assuming most people were trying to sort it out and kind of figure out how these things run in big packs like that. So obviously everybody got pretty comfortable with them there toward the end, because, man, it was crazy. Those last few laps were nuts. So it was a lot of fun.
It was certainly crazy as well. We look forward when we go back to the old cars. Of course, we'll most likely be using these next-gen cars when we get around to next Cup Series. But for now, we do have to swing back to the old Gen 6 cars for the Nashville Super Speedway. We were talking about dealing with this earlier. New track. Not a lot of people had a lot of time to practice, set up the car for that one. So what do you think the plan's going to be when we come around to a brand new facility, not just the series, but the service as a whole?
Yeah, I think... well, anytime we have new tracks, I like when we go to tracks we haven't been to, because, everybody's kind of like on the same level playing field. So, Nashville, I'll be honest, I haven't turned one lap at Nashville yet. I was on vacation all last week. So, from what I understand though, you're going to have to drive the car a little bit more, even though, with this package we've had, it's less about, the brake and the throttle. Is more, how you stay in the pack, and it's kind of pack racing on 1.5 miles and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, we'll see what happens. It's a concrete track, so that ought to be fun. Kind of like this place, we'll just have to get in there a little bit this week and, kind of sort it out and see what happens.
Sorting out the kinks, no doubt, on race day. Going to be a very big factor in how next week's race plays out as well. Well, further to go here then, Rhett, anybody like to shout out for being fast in that number 15 Steel Horse Racing machine?
Yeah, obviously just all the guys at Steel Horse Racing, VRS, Direct Drive Pro Racing bases and wheels and pedals. VRS is about to release the pedals to go along with the wheels, so if they're as good as the wheelbase, I'll definitely be picking up a set of those two. Also iLogs shifters, sequential shifters. That was helping me out a lot tonight. And iRacing iFlag. Yeah, and just Swanee for my spotter tonight, who was it was just he and I tonight, and we had a lot of fun. So just couldn't say enough about this league and the level of competition. This all-star race was a lot of fun. Even though we were all just banging on each other, there was still a lot of give and take out there, and that was a lot of fun for us. So hope we put on a good show, and we'll see you guys next week in Nashville.
Thank you, Brett, for taking the time to join us here tonight. Congratulations on a third-place finish with Twin Ring Motegi. Best of luck next week at Nashville Super Speedway.
Yeah, thanks, Nolan.
A big thanks to all of our top 3 finishers for chatting with us post-race. Of course, Kyle Trudell, Dylan Coyle, and Rhett McBride. And what a night, for trying to get this race underway and my whole internet and cable just going out, Nolan. So I appreciate you taking care of things through the All-Star Open. It came up just in time for me to set the grid for that All-Star race and in the nick of time, because we talked about, we tried to make this All-Star race unique. So last year we raced at North Wilkesboro. Already announced tonight, if you missed it earlier, that next year's All-Star race will be in the COT car. So we'll throw it back for next year's All-Star race. But I can't recall not just an All-Star race, but a race as fun as this. Everybody has their favorite kind of quirky car track combo on the sim. I might need to throw up some hosted sessions here at Twin Ring. Our friends at SimSeats are such a big part of allowing us to do this. Another big shout out to our friends at Makoni Setup Shop for building the setup that gave us the incredible racing you saw on track tonight. Such a fun show. I'm ready to get back points racing, but man, that was a fun night.
I think fun night is a bit of an understatement there, Evan. I mean, it was just an absolutely insane night. I mean, it was again one of those races where there's always something going on track. And in this case, it always happened to be in a very crucial battle for those very critical spots in the closing stages of the race. I mean, it's not something that you tend to see very often, especially at a track like Twin Motegi, when you get only 18 cars out there. It's a testament to not just how good this track can be, like we were both mentioned earlier. It is a very underrated track, and we both wish it was, had a bit more of a prominent feature in oval racing, whether that be for IndyCar, stock car racing. Heck, why not both? I mean, both series of racers in the past. I don't see why they can't come back, but especially for only 18 cars, and that is a testament to how good the next gen cars drive. And I can't wait till we make that switch over to them next year.
I think those other 11 that were eligible are going to go back and watch the broadcast and be like, man, I missed out. And of course, we return to our normal schedule. I mean, one of the greatest finishes I think we've seen in RSR in some time. We've had closer margins of victory, but I think just that whole build-up, some of the best stuff we've seen in a long time, and certainly gives me some hope that these next-gen cars, the tweaks and whatnot, will provide good racing at the NASCAR level and therefore at the iRacing level when they're instituted full-time next year. But we move forward to another new, and it's Nashville Superspeedway. Not a new track, but new to iRacing. So the first time we're going to be running it here in the SimSeats RealSimRacing Cup Series. It is basically kind of an intermediate racetrack, but it's a concrete surface. So it's unique. Of course, it's being used by NASCAR to kind of test the waters to see if reviving the Nashville Fairgrounds for a Cup Series date is doable. I think it's going to be a fun, unique challenge next time out, and kind of like tonight, with a lot of drivers having had no track time on it. Still, it's only been out for a few days. Could level the playing field, could give somebody an opportunity to get a first win of the year.
And I've been kind of looking into a little bit as to how the racing there should look like. And I think I got one series that I'm doing on this next Thursday that's going to be heading there. So I'll get a good idea of how the track's going to race. From just preliminary, feelings of what I've been getting from multiple different drivers throughout the servers in various different leagues, it's going to race very much like a short track, surprisingly. That is due in part to the concrete surface. Of course, does not have nearly as much traction as an asphalt surface would have, like we're seeing here at the Twin Motegi, or even some other tracks like Kansas Motor Speedway, another 1.5 mile track. It's going to be a bit more like an extreme Dover, except, of course, Dover, higher bank in the Nashville Super Speedway. It's also shorter, so get all of these varying factors in there, and it's going to make it a very interesting track. It's a bottom-heavy track for sure when it comes to what lane you want to run. It's going to make it a very interesting race. I have a feeling we're going to be seeing a couple of drivers getting moved next week.
It's a tight tri-oval too, which when I say tight, you might get the wrong idea. So a lot of tracks, the infield grass isn't that big because it's a very broad corner. At Nashville, it's a very tight drive, which means the front stretch grass is wide. It's very much a turn in and of itself. It's a lot of fun. Big fan of anytime we get something new, and that'll be new next Monday night. But until then, that is it for us here on All-Star Monday night as we put this one into our rear view mirror. So what to say on behalf of our entire team at RaceSpot TV, the entire crew behind the scenes that makes RealSimRacing tick, and for your broadcast team tonight. For Hugo Luis downstairs, for Nolan Rempel, myself, Evan Pasoko, I want to thank you so much for tuning in and congratulate Kyle Trudell as your 2021 SimSeats All-Star Race Champion. We're back next Monday night for the first ever race at the virtual Nashville Super Speedway. That one comes up on Monday, the 21st. It's a 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time start here as always. That race and every race of the 2021 SimSeats Real Sim Racing Cup Series can be found exclusively here on RaceSpot TV. Until next time, good night from Japan. Kyle Trudell, your All-Star champ.